because it's the only example she saw. And by no means am I saying our brothers are all bad, because they not. Most black men are good black men. Most black men are good black men. Most black men are good black men. And on that note, I take issue with the movie Roxanne on one major point. On that note, I take issue with the movie Roxanne on one major point, brothers and sisters. And guess what that point is? The point with which I take issue is the fact that here we go again, just like Black Panther. Here we go again, just like Black Panther. There's a pattern here. All of the alpha males were nasty, no good Negroes. Here we go again, Killmonger Part 2. Here we go again, Jabari of the Mountain Tribe Part 2. Every alpha in the Roxanne movie was negative. We're seeing a pattern here. If he ain't soft, if he not some Duncan Hines, Pillsbury dough, tasty cake, effeminate, soft, skinny jeans wearing ass brother, then he has to be deplored and condemned on the big screen. That's where we going now. That's where we going now. Forrest Whitaker, Pharrell, please get it together, my brothers. And I'm not blaming you because you may have had no control over that. But the one thing I did not like about this movie, I could not let my daughter watch this unless I watch it with her. I cannot let my daughter watch this unless I decode it with her. And I'm asking all of you, don't let your son or daughter watch the Roxanne movie unless you've seen it first, and that you either A, talk them through it, or B, have a serious conversation about the imageries and the messages in the movie as soon as it's over. Because this movie, although I loved how it highlighted the classical era of hip-hop, I'm glad how it highlighted the classical era of hip-hop before everybody wanted to kill somebody, before everybody wanted to go to jail, before everybody needed a Maybach. Don't get me wrong, we still had materialism back then. Rakim was conscious as hell, but he had the dookie ropes. But at least he was conscious. These coons we got rapping now, they're not even conscious. I appreciated the attention paid to classical hip-hop, but on some levels of the Roxanne movie, I appreciated the attention paid to hip-hop, but on some levels of the Roxanne movie, it reminded me of Color Purple, Waiting to Exhale. Because you remember how negativistic the men were in Color Purple and in Waiting to Exhale. I felt some of that energy in this. It reminded me of the Tyler Perry Hate Black Woman films. It reminded me to some extent of the Tyler Perry Hate Black Men and Hate Black Women films. Because every brother exploited our sister. Now, some of you would argue this was a docudrama. Some of you would argue this was a docudrama. Okay. I'm sure everything wasn't historically accurate in this film. It never is in any docudrama. Nothing is historically accurate 100% in a docudrama because it's not a documentary. So what am I saying? I'm saying that since this was a docudrama, and you had to add in and add out certain truths in order to make the movie more appealing and more entertaining, why couldn't you add in a couple positive black men? Why couldn't Roxanne run into a positive brother on the street who might have gave her a couple of dollars and didn't ask for nothing in return? Why couldn't she just sit down and have a conversation on a park bench with a positive brother? Now, she did have a positive school teacher. He only had 2 scenes in the whole movie. They could have stretched that out a little bit. And if they didn't want to fabricate, I can respect that. You say, well, she didn't really have a real strong male figure in public school in Queens to help her out. Fine. Fabricate a couple positive men walking up the street, talking to her just in passing or something to show our children that all black men ain't what you projected them to be in this movie. What is going on? There is a serious trend and a serious effort to denigrate, castrate, and assassinate the image of the unapologetically black African alpha male. They did it in Black Panther with Killmonger and Jabari, and they did it in Roxanne with every black man in the film except the school teacher who hardly got any attention. I'm talking facts. See, let me go back now. There's 4 things that we all need, male or female, in order to grow up and build healthy relationships with members of the opposite sex. We need these things. We need them from our mother. We need them from our father. If a black daughter doesn't have a father and she got an abusive, neglectful, distant mother, then guess what? She don't get none of it. A boy might get some from his mom. Daddy ain't there, but mom can still show him, hey, I'm a lady, this is how you treat us. I'm a lady, this is how you deal with us. But a girl ain't got the dad or the mother in many cases. Sometimes the daughters are neglected more than the sons. But we don't see it because girls suffer from what? Internalizing disorders. Girls suffer from what? Depression, anxiety, smokeaholics, secret alcoholics, functional cocaine addicts. A lot of black women are functional addicts. They overeat. I would argue that black women's obesity has a lot more to do with emotional issues than it does with the love of food. Let me say it again. Michelle Obama didn't. She should have talked to me before she did that little fake campaign on obesity. Black women's obesity has more to do with emotional problems from childhood that have went unchecked. Black women's obesity has more to do with a black woman's childhood psychological and emotional scars that were never addressed than it has to do with a love of food. That is facts, and I don't need no white man to validate what I'm saying. That is facts, and I don't need no white man to validate what I'm saying. And black women listening to this, you know this is the truth. Our sisters don't suffer from obesity because they just in love with food. Not most of them. Food is a narcotic. When you're eating and drinking, the processes of the brain that allows you to be depressed and anxious and worrisome are arrested while you eat. This is why we're drawn to the refrigerator whenever we go through anxiety. This is why we want to go out and get something to eat whenever something is heavy on our heart. We want to go get something to eat. This is why people love to take you out on a date before you sign off on that car. They want you to take you out on a date before you decide to buy that house, because they know if they get you to eat, you will relax. And while you are relaxed, you are more likely to do something that you otherwise would not have done. This is scientific fact. Drinking and eating calms the central nervous system. Drinking and eating calms the central nervous system. And that's why we have an obesity issue, Michelle Obama. That's why we have an obesity issue, Michelle Obama. It ain't about calories and protein and carbohydrates. It's about emotional pain that neither you or your husband adequately addressed while you was in office. How can you say that? I can say that because you ain't dealing with the psychological abuses of black people if you don't deal with the #1 psychological cause of our abuse, and that is white supremacy and its evil system racism, and its evil economic order capitalism, and its evil scientific system called eugenics, and its evil population control weapons known as AIDS and mass incarceration. Don't ever tell me you dealing with black people's emotional, psychological, and mental health problems systematically, and you ain't dealing with racism. You hear everybody talking about how black people not getting enough psychological help. Mental health is taboo in the black community. Y'all hear this, right? Everybody's talking about how black people don't trust the system. Well, guess what? We got reasons for why we don't trust the system. Do you realize that it was psychology more than any other institution in America that justified the enslavement, dehumanization, and second-class citizenship of black people? Lewis Terman, Henry H. Goddard, all these white fathers of Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, these were racists. They were racist. And you want us to go to the same system that said I was a half of a man to get some help? If you don't even think I'm a man, how the hell are you going to help me? And guess what, black people? Guess what, black people? I'm not upset at any of you for not going to see no white therapist. I'm not upset at any of you because a person who don't like you damn sure can't help you. A person who don't like you definitely cannot help you. I'm speaking facts. I'm speaking facts. My doctrine is impeccable. Negroes talking about he don't want to work with nobody. He don't want to work with nobody. No, I don't want to work with you because your ass ain't doing nothing of significance to help our people but running your mouth like everybody else. You didn't hear me? I'll say it again. I'm not working with you because you, just like the rest of them, ain't doing nothing significant to help our people. National Independent Black Parent Association. I can rest my case.